Connor Sweeney.
Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear the music at regular speed because I listen to my podcasts in 1.5.
Do you?
So.
1.5 is fast.
Yeah.
I usually do 1.2.
Yeah.
Unless I'm listening to my own because I don't like the way that it makes me sound.
I'll listen to this one at 2.0.
Just double speed. I'm surprised you'll even listen. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are like, well, I'm never listening to this. See you later. Please don't call me again.
I have to do it.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's Real Estate for Real. I'm Eric Pettigo. And as I just said, Connor Sweeney is here with me today. And this came about because of you.
It's all my fault.
This is your fault. This was 100% your idea. A quick backstory of how this happened. We ran into each other at the Bags tournament at Killebrew's office.
Yes.
You remember?
I do remember. Yeah.
And you said, hey, I've been listening to the podcast. If you ever need somebody to come on, let me know.
Yep.
You remember what I said?
I was hoping you'd forgotten.
Definitely not. I've got a good memory. Do you remember what I said?
I don't.
I said, hey, awesome, man. Thanks. Have we met?
Perfect. I think we had texted a little bit at that time, but never in person.
It's amazing how that works, right? Like I've got text threads with so many agents, but never met them in person.
Right.
And you were one of them at that point. We had never actually, I don't think, had many conversations in person.
No.
And so, but since then, I know exactly who you are. We always talk. We attend the Coffee and Questions here pretty regularly, you and I both.
Yeah, I'd say we're some of the irregulars.
I would say so, and that's a good thing to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your experience level. It's a really, really good thing to attend, and we team up for Grouperty.
Right. We are team. I don't know. We'll have to come up with a team name.
Yeah, we haven't named our team, but we're undefeated.
Team left side of the room.
We've never been beaten.
No, I don't think so. Do we keep score?
No.
Okay. It's easy to win when that's the game.
Never been beaten. So anyhow, I've held you to it. And then at the holiday party, I was there with my wife. You were there with your wife, and we were talking.
Right. And drinks were flowing, and I was feeling extra confident, I guess, and scheduled a.
You were like, "You got those mics? Let's do it right now."
That would have been a good one.
Yeah, that would have. I intentionally left all the recording equipment at home because multiple people were like, "Hey, we should just do one here." And I'm like,
Real Estate for Real after hours.
Yeah, that's a little too for real.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. Agreed.
But Anthony is really, really wanting to do a drinks and podcast.
Mention of that. Whatever, you can edit.
The guy's
how
crazy,
you want
man.
to.
That guy's crazy.
Is he?
But we set it up. We put it on the calendar. And I was like, all right, man, let's just do this. You're coming on, and here's the date. And we picked the date, put it in the calendar. Day before I text you.
One of us put it in the calendar. I did not. Yeah. So, last minute I canceled, had some things, maybe some reserves, but also.
Well, yeah, you hooked up Clay. You got Clay on here. So I had Clay on last week, and I think that went really well, aside from me failing to record like a jerk.
Right.
The audio we got, video we did not, but Clay did a great job.
Yeah. So Clay is my team lead, and people might not know that I am on the Yates team.
We're going to get into all that, buddy. Here's what I'm doing right now. Small talk stuff.
Okay.
Just to kind of get you comfortable.
That's good.
Because we're just chatting.
That's good.
Just a
couple. I'm kind of like
just a couple of guys. Loosen up. You're good. What you got in that cup over there?
Just some water.
All right. Yeah, you should have swung by Anthony's office.
It crossed my mind.
Okay, so let's get into it. You have been in real estate how long?
I am in my third year, as I like to tell people. June will be 3 years.
Okay.
So I was licensed 2022 and came straight to the group.
Smart move.
Joined a team. We had 10 or 12 people on our team. The Burrell home team. I don't know. That's
Creighton.
Defunct. Yeah, it was Creighton.
Yeah.
So learned a lot from him. Started getting deals and learned how everything worked. And the team kind of slowly went their own way. So I approached Clay. Clay's from Jacksonville. I'm from Jacksonville. That was kind of what my thing was because I kind of wanted to work over there too. So approached him and we interviewed and I joined the team.
That was that.
That was like October 2022.
So that was, okay, October 2022. And what were you doing prior?
Directly prior, I was working at Pleasant Nursery.
Ooh, yeah.
Doing landscaping. So something we have in common is my back is also broken from bending
Manual
over, picking
labor,
up pots and planting, working a shovel. And
As
all
soon
that.
as you said that, I felt it in my back.
I know, I'm usually like moving a lot to stay comfortable.
Man. Yeah. Okay. So you did that. So how long did you do that?
I was at Pleasant Nursery only for like 3 months because
Okay. Well, I don't know if we even needed to give them a shout out.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
We didn't have to since I don't know if they're competitors. They order sod from other places. So
That's not cool.
you know.
You get it from us, Pleasant. You
we'll
get it from
tell
Pettigo.
Denny, yeah. So I started my real estate course online
Okay.
in 2021. You had a year to complete it. So I was doing odd jobs at that time, trying to decide what I wanted to do. My wife was a licensed realtor at that time.
Really?
She was at KW briefly. She also had a full-time job, so she was just going to do it on the side. But I got to go out to showings with her and see kind of how things worked. So piqued my interest. Always been interested in houses. And I started the class, so sometimes I get sidetracked.
It's cool, man. No, go wherever you want. You're steering this boat.
Right. Had enough time to do it. So before that, I was unemployed. Had been laid off during COVID. And
What were you doing then?
I was a temp at HSHS. And then before that, I was at a credit union doing customer service.
Quite the resume,
Before
my
that,
friend.
I was at Family Video as
Okay.
a manager, store manager. Helped shut a few stores down with them. So been all over the place work-wise. And
Did you give Clay fair warning of your history?
I don't know if Clay knows it. I don't know if anybody knows this. That's
Of
kind the
everything
reason I wanted
falling
to go on.
apart when you sign up?
Oh, no. Everything was good. So being laid off at COVID gave me the opportunity to be a stay-at-home dad.
Right.
So I got to stay home for like Ezra's our oldest, who's 6 now, and was there like the first 2 years. He was 1, and then from like 1 to 3, we stayed home. So that was awesome. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
So we were trying to figure out me going back to work, what I was going to do. I've been doing odd jobs like handyman stuff, and so it's either like go full bore with that, get an actual company, insurance, all that, or finish my real estate license and go that route. So
Yeah.
we see which one I picked, and that's where I am now here. So
Seems to have stuck.
it's stuck.
Okay. And so did you said your wife was at a different brokerage. You've named them once. We don't need to.
They who will not be named.
They're fine. I'm not going to know. But did you, but you came straight here.
I did. Yep. Yep. Creighton was at Keller Williams right prior to that.
You can say it, dude. I was just joking. We can acknowledge that there are other brokerages in town.
So at first,
None
I thought,
as good as us, but we can acknowledge that they exist.
Right, they exist. I thought that's where I would be going, but like
Right.
last minute, he pulled the team over here. So I was here. We interviewed with a couple other brokerages when the team was kind of falling apart. I don't know. Maybe I edit out some of this out.
Nah, I'm not going to. I don't. It's way too much time. I don't have that kind of time to edit. What
but-
you say is going out there.
So
Buddy.
ultimately, we chose to stay with the group. So we stayed with the group.
Good call.
And here I am.
Creighton moved into my subdivision a few years ago,
Oh, okay.
and I immediately reached out to him. It's like, hey, man, I don't know what you think you're doing here, but he's like,
That's I won't say where you live, but
yeah, Cover
fine.
Bridge Acres. That's
Yeah,
Any realtor knows how to find out where anybody lives.
That's
It's
true.
okay. But yeah, no, he bought a house. He's like, don't worry, man, I'm not going to farm your subdivision. I was like, I'm just kidding,
I've
dude.
been
Welcome to
there.
the neighborhood. Yeah. But also really don't.
yeah, don't.
Yeah, don't.
So I don't even think he's doing it. I don't know. What
He's not.
doing.
So he's in the referral industry now. He still, I think, carries a license and sends out referrals. It's such a weird thing, man. You deal with any of that like referral, like lead chasing type of stuff?
Absolutely. So my wife actually has her license in holding, probably the
Okay.
same place as Creighton.
Yep,
so she can
probably.
refer people out, which we don't really do. Doesn't make sense for our situation. But it's there, so if she wants to get back into it, she doesn't have to go through the whole rigmarole again.
Right.
As for like lead sources, as a team, like we have the team generated leads. So with referrals, like other agents, you mean? Like, so
Well, okay.
I've had a couple. Like,
so
out
for
of
instance,
area, or,
like in Creighton, and this is not, but you know what? Like we're cool. Creighton, I mean, and he has sent me a few leads. You know,
where
just,
my
hey,
leads, Creighton.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky you didn't get the one I got. It was really weird. Right? This guy wanted to list his house, and you know, gave me the address, and I called him. It was a weird conversation, and his name, address, and we set up a time for me to go. I was like at the store or something when I was talking to him, and so I get home, and I'm supposed to go meet him that day at like 4:00. And so, and this is important. All realtors out there, do your homework.
Right.
Definitely don't just go blind. Somebody says, "Hey, I want you to list my house." It's, you know, here's the address. Mm-hmm. Meet me over here at this time. If it's something like that where you don't know this person, do your homework. So I get home and I go on the Sangamon County parcel page, punch the property in. That guy's not listed as the owner, right?
Yeah, which happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's legit, but
So I called for clarification. And it's, you know, I'm supposed to go meet him in like an hour. Hey, man, I'm supposed to come meet you in an hour. I'm looking online, and it's not saying that you are the owner of this house. Mm-hmm. Give me a call back and you know, let me know what's going on here. No call back. But I'm like, what if I would have showed up?
yeah,
Then what?
Did you go?
No, I didn't go.
Good job.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I'm not, you know, I'm.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're going to get with that kind of stuff. But I also know it can translate into, you know, clients and sales. And there's a reason that lead generation stuff exists. But you got to be careful with it. When man, this industry is so weird, man. We deal with so many people we don't know.
Yeah. So we do Zillow. So we get a lot of those. Just your phone's ringing.
Yeah.
There might be a property specifically listed, but you got 30 seconds to pick up the phone and then do all your research on the property to like be ready to talk to that person on the phone. It's kind of stressful sometimes.
Yeah.
But you navigate that with experience, through that, and just give yourself time to look it up. Don't make any promises you can't keep.
Were you naturally comfortable talking to strangers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I think feel like prepared me for this was just being in customer service in general, like my whole working career.
No, you'll get it. It's all right.
Whether it was, Jimmy John's as a delivery driver, that was like my first job in Jacksonville. First job was detasseling. Did you ever do detasseling?
No. I worked at McDonald's all throughout high school. I was 14.
Employee of the month.
Two times. No big deal.
Silver special.
So yeah, that's what I got on a plaque. Yeah, you do. Nice. Yeah, you do. And also, I don't know if you heard, but I passed my real estate exam on the first try. How about you?
High five, because I did too.
You hear that, Clay?
I don't know if you knew that.
I did. I got a few texts from people after that listened that told me.
I almost texted you after class. And I was just like, I'll tell online on the story.
And just so you know, your passed on the first try put it just over 50-50. Up until that, it was
really
the feedback I've got. It was about 50-50.
Yeah, I felt like you though when I came out. Like
not a chance.
Idea how I did. Yeah,
not a chance.
I was guessing on a few of them for sure.
Yeah. It just so I feel like everything from the exam, like none of it was in the course. I didn't feel like I feel like
did you do all the practice tests?
I did. I took a practice test. Like I paid extra for some, I don't know, like
at the end
practice exam, and that was very similar to the actual exam. And I remember taking it like, ooh, this wasn't this whole course.
Yeah, some of that stuff. It's like when you skim through, there's just so much information.
So much, man.
Huge, yeah. You never stop learning in this business.
I'm glad I don't have to do that again. I started it. I stopped it when I was doing the studying. I actually almost went and sold insurance, but that didn't work out. Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could do that.
And then I came back around and was like, I'm pick this book back up. It was a book for me, a big textbook.
Same.
Yeah,
I had the book and the online course.
And the online, yeah. See, I didn't. Everything was textbook for me. And then when I was to a certain point, I had to schedule like little mini tests along the way at the IIR office in Springfield.
Gotcha. Yeah, so they must have changed a little bit in licensing practices.
Uh-huh. It's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Change is good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, and speaking of that and circling things back around, so you know, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is to kind of get to know other agents and let other agents get to know each other. And because this business used to be very, you know, everybody was at the office, everybody knew each other, everybody worked together. Now everybody works from home, everything's digital. We don't have to drop off contracts.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you talk to the older agents, and I don't necessarily mean older, I mean more experienced, ones that have been doing it a long time. They'll tell you, man, this is a totally different, it's so much less personable agent to agent.
Right.
And so I came in just being a competitive person by nature, like, well, I've already got friends, and these people are all my competition. I don't care where they work. So I was pretty standoffish, and so it's like when I was like, hey, have we met? You know, like we had talked, sure, but I didn't know who you were, and that was my fault because I wasn't good about coming around and being a part of, you know, of the company because I don't know, I didn't think that was important until a little bit. You know, you grow, you get experience, and you learn like, hey, you know what?
There's not many industries where your competitors are also your coworkers. Like
It's so weird.
that's especially whatever the brokerages. I mean, you have to work with those people more than sometimes at your own brokerage. Like I'll, you know, deals with them more so than the same people. So yeah, it's hard. That's why those functions are good. The group stuff, group socials, and car social functions, and got to get to those. I think
Jamie Murphy called me out at the holiday party. She's like, "You pretend like you're antisocial, but you're not." Well, yeah. I guess kind of the older I get, the more I'm just like, it doesn't have to be. You know, it's like, well, it's important to have these relationships with other agents. It helps you in your business, and it helps you take better care of your clients. But it's also just like good for you as a human to establish human connections.
100%.
And that's just good for you.
Right.
So it's like it doesn't have to benefit you financially to be around other people. And it's what I've learned is it's a bunch of like-minded people.
Yeah, for the most part.
You know, like it's
all the same goals mostly.
We're doing the same job. Right. You know, we're hit with the same challenges, and we're, you know, and it's like we can learn from each other, and just, you know, it's okay to make friends in life too. Yeah. So it's one of those things
because you never know if you or that person's going to be in real estate forever. So you might have a friend down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big thing when I first got licensed. I was in a just say yes mode. I was like, I'm going to say yes to everything. Anybody asked me to do an event, a group, something, I'm going to say yes. So that got me back into golfing. I don't know why I'm segueing into this, but
we got to go somewhere, man. We're only 18 minutes in.
I hadn't golfed since I was like 18, back in high school, and then there was like a golf outing. Somebody's like, "Hey, you want to play?" And I said, "Yeah." So played a little bit. Was terrible. Then started practicing more and got a little better, but now it's enjoyable at least. That's the main thing. It's enjoyable. Wouldn't say I'm good at all, but yeah, it's fun to get out there.
So I used to golf a lot when I was like younger. When I was early 20s, I golfed a lot. Late teens, early 20s, a buddy of mine and me, we would go, a buddy of mine and I is correct. We would go golfing like a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week. And it was fun, man. I'm starting to get pretty good, but I'm one of those people, I'm a little too competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm used to, like, I can shoot a basketball, I can throw a football, I can hit a baseball. Like these things all come kind of natural.
It's just a different.
But golf, man. And I was just so frustrated at how little I was progressing compared to how much time and money I was investing into this game. And I would get so angry, and so I'd hit a bad shot and just throw a club. And this is in my younger days. I've calmed down a lot significantly. So now when I golf, I'm still bad. Like, because I golf once every few years. So I'm at my all-time worst. I am not a good golfer. But I enjoy the time being out there.
Yeah.
A break from the typical day-to-day stuff,
Right.
and driving around golf carts, hanging out. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I don't let being bad at golf upset me.
Yeah.
I've grown as a human.
That's good.
Connor.
That's good. Yeah, I gave up kind of my competitiveness, I think, like after high school. I don't know.
Yeah?
Just like, it's just for the fun. Like, I want to do things for fun. Like, if I win or lose, it doesn't really matter anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I still play basketball quite a bit, though.
I wish I did.
And while I'm playing, I really want to win. If I lose, though, and the game's over, I don't carry it. Which is the difference. That's where I've grown. While I'm in the middle of it, still super competitive. Soon as it's over, back to normal life.
Yeah. I think that's something you get as you grow older. You learn too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Especially, you gotta keep learning and growing, man. I mean, how old are you?
I'll be 38 this year.
All right. Yep, you're getting up there. And I'm 44. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because it's when I was like 35, I was a grown up selling real estate. I was, kids. But I definitely know more now than I did then. Right. And I imagine at 54, I will look back and be like, if I would have known at 44 what I know now.
Here. The more you know, the more you grow.
Oh,
I dropped that to Lexi the other day. And I was like, I'm going to have to use that in the podcast.
Perfect.
So, and that's.
Are you trying to come up with a title?
As like a catchphrase?
You trying to throw a title out? Well, I name these episodes after a quote in the podcast.
Yeah, you could do that one. Or like pairing people with places. That's another tagline again.
Just keep throwing them out until one of them
Sell
sticks.
or buy, I'm your guy.
No. Sell or buy, I'm your guy. Man, the real estate slogans that are out there. I'm sure that they work.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sometimes, maybe.
I'm sure
you got to span the demographics. Like, there's some people that are going to respond to one thing, and then because you work somewhere, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know.
It's true. What was the first one you said? The more you
know, the more you grow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. We'll probably go with that.
Yeah,
we'll see.
What I've been using. Like, so I joined some committees at CAR this year, a couple areas.
Which ones?
Forms, member service, multiple listing, and one more.
Dude,
I can't think of the other one.
You got a lot going on, pal.
Yeah, and then the leadership academy started in January, goes through the spring. So just learning, because when I meet a client, I want to know as much as possible without having to go ask somebody else. And then when you go ask somebody else, then you're learning something then too. So it's like you're always learning.
And you never just know, right? You never. There's always so much, and it's a constantly evolving business and industry, and there's so much to learn anyway. And it's the worst thing you can do in this business is just kind of like stay put and be, this is how I do it, and this is the only, and that's because it just changes so much, and you have to keep absorbing new information and evolving and growing.
Right. We have new forms. Our forms are changing like weekly, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't like that. But it has to happen, right? I mean, anytime, something goes sideways in some deal somewhere, boom, we got a new page in our contract.
Right. Because it seems like, you're there's lots of words, but you're coming across something new in a lot of sales. Like, it's something different you have to navigate in every transaction. So,
and that's why it's important that we have this network of so many like knowledgeable agents here that are willing to help, because something that might be new to us, and even me. I mean, I think I'm in my 12th year now. I still run into things where I'm like, what is this? But another agent most likely will have encountered something similar to where they can give me a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
And so it's super, super beneficial to have such a large network of really, really good, knowledgeable agents that we can lean on.
Definitely.
And so you're in your third year. So let's talk a little bit about, your start was much different than my start because we're technology has advanced. A lot of things have changed. I mean, social media is obviously the main form of
Right.
it. Just everything now, networking, communication, advertising, everything is social media, which wasn't the case when I started. So some of the challenges for you getting your business going as a newer agent, what did that look like? Or did you hit the ground running rock star?
Yeah, finding the right team, I guess. So I knew when I came in that I wanted to start with a team, so I wasn't just out there like a deer in headlights by myself, trying to find clients and not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Because the first 45 or something before you get your first 45, like after post-license hours, you're supposed to do your transactions with a managing broker. That's like the rule.
Oh, interesting.
So
good to know.
Not a lot of people did that. So, but I had a person there, who was holding my hand the whole time, walking me through the contract, walking me through the negotiations back and forth. And so that was great. That's what I needed as a new agent. And that's what I took advantage of, was people willing to teach me.
Yeah.
And
as far as like accumulating business, getting clients, did you lean on your team for that, or were you out there?
I did.
Were you able to wrangle a few yourself?
First few months, I sent out mailers. I did calls. Wasn't really getting anything on my own. The team paid for leads, again, Zillow back then. So that was where they were most come from. So learning how to answer those calls and talking to people just with not even knowing anything at that point.
Man, that's a tough way to get started.
But I didn't have to go out and search for those leads.
Right.
So now, like this year and the end of last year, my sphere of influence has been kicking in more. So getting more leads organically through friends and family, past clients. Still rely on Zillow, I would say, heavily for those and our other lead sources, not primarily Zillow, not just Zillow. Keep saying that. I'll stop saying it. I'm not going to say it anymore.
They don't need any
anymore.
more attention from us.
No, did you see that Saturday Night Live skit though?
Which one? I'm big on Saturday Night Live.
Okay, I'll forward it to you. It won't do it justice.
Okay, was it on the? It wasn't on the 50th anniversary.
I don't know if it
thing.
was or not. I just saw it on Facebook.
All right. Yeah, no, send it over to me. I'll check it out. But I'm a big SNL guy. Love SNL.
So yeah, hit the ground running, I would say.
Good
would be the term. Started. I think I had my first closing in July of 2022. So,
and you got licensed
in June of 2022.
Okay. Oh wow!
Thanks to the team. I worked through it with the client, but it was generated by the team and did that. So I got a couple more, I think, that first year, but then the winter of 22-23 was super slow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Didn't think I was going to ever sell a house. And I didn't get another one until March of 2023. So those are the patches that are
It's
scary.
weird how that happens, man. That's something that it's hard to, and we've talked about it on this podcast a lot it's those downtimes. It's hard to brace for those. Mm-hmm. And especially the first time you live through it, I've made a giant mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't, I'm not one. I'm not a realtor. This is
crap.
not real.
How can I make other money?
Yeah, exactly. So, but things pick up, the phone rings, that stuff happens. So, it's a crazy business, man. But, have you, this is a bit of a right turn because it's something that I'm literally in the middle of dealing with right now, and I'm finding it interesting. Have you, in your few years, have you had much experience with dual agency?
No.
Have you never done dual agency?
I have not done a dual agency.
Wow.
So I've only had a handful of listings, mainly get the buyer side of leads.
Okay.
So I have not done a dual agency.
So you've only had a handful of listings. You work mostly buyers.
Right.
Man, you picked a tough time to work with buyers.
I thought you were going to ask me if I had any experience with FHA and VA and those kind of ones.
Oh, well, we can get into that too. But all right, well.
No, so yeah, doing not much dual agency. Yeah, just.
Is it something you don't even want to mess with, or it just the opportunity hasn't presented itself?
The opportunity has not presented itself.
Yeah.
I probably would take it on. I guess it would depend on who the clients were, or, if I knew both sides, maybe I don't know if that'd be better or worse, but.
I tell you, I've been involved in, I mean, more than I can count.
Okay.
And I have one right now. And at a listing, I have a listing. And I got a call on a sign call, which is a normal thing. You get a sign call, all right? Hey, you listed this house. I'd like to take a look at it. Like, okay, I'll show it to you, but on behalf of my seller, especially now, you have to make that clear, not your agent. Right. So I show this guy the house. We're looking around, and at no point does it cross over into agency for him. He's just looking. I'm, answering the material questions that are there. Right. How old is it? How old's this? How old's that? That kind of stuff. And then he starts telling me that, I did. I said, do you have a buyer agency agreement with somebody? I asked him that. He goes, not an exclusive one. He's like, but I've looked at like 40 houses. I put in a few offers, and I just do non-exclusive with everybody. I was like, phew. Okay, man. All right. So you just got a bunch of non-exclusive agreements floating around town with all these different, which is 100% his right and his prerogative. He can do that.
Right.
He said, well, I don't want to tie myself to one agent because I travel a lot for work, and I might buy a house here. I might buy a house in Peoria. I might buy a house in Wisconsin. He goes, I'm looking all over the place. Yeah. So I can't have an exclusive agency with one agent when what happens if I want to buy a house out of state? And I said, okay, so of all these agents that you've talked to and worked with, none of them have explained this to you, because you can have an exclusive agent, and we define the barriers. Like, for instance, I can be your exclusive agent for Sangamon County.
Yeah.
We can write that in there. Right. So if you buy anything outside of this, you can go do whatever you want. It's got nothing to do with me. We can define those parameters. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyhow, fast forward, he ended up liking the house and got a deal together, but we did. He said if this hadn't gotten together, he would sign an exclusive with me, which was cool. Made me like, hey, look at that. Hey, all these agents. I'm the prettiest. So, but we got one together, in part of the non-exclusive agreement, it says like specific for this property, and you can write that in there, which is what we did.
Yeah.
But then the dual agency part kicks in. And this is where it gets tricky, because house has not been pre-inspected. Now, as a dual agent, I can't say you should really get a home inspection.
I mean, why not? You can't say that?
You can't. No, you can't. You can't recommend. You can inform them of home inspections, what the purpose is. But you can't, that's the whole thing, is you can't really recommend. It's like recommending what his offer should be to him, which you can't do. Right. There's stuff. Is it in the seller's best interest or not best interest for this person to get a home inspection? Probably not best interest, right? So if I'm encouraging them to do something,
yeah, that makes sense,
right? So you have to be really careful with that kind of stuff, and this is why dual agency becomes a hot topic, and why a lot of people try to stay away from it. Right. So the best we can do is educate. We can say, hey, this is what they do. The seller fills out the disclosures, and it's everything that they are aware of. But inspections are used to, to find things that are kind of go unseen. You and I aren't going to see them. I don't know, like all I know is what the seller says and what I've seen, but I'm not an inspector. I'm not a contractor. So here's the knowledge, it costs about this much, the whole process, so that's all you can do.
Gotcha.
He didn't want to get one. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. And there's nothing I got. Okay. If you don't, I just want to make sure you know why they're there. I can't recommend that you get it. But that's where it gets tricky doing this dual agency stuff, because it's hard to, and some people, I always on the front end tell them, especially, on the listing side, if you don't want me to be a dual agent,
right,
totally fine.
Don't sign this. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not being forced to sign this. It's right. If you don't want me, and if I've had a few be like, no, I don't. I want you just working for me. Mm-hmm. Because, then the question comes, an offer comes in. Ooh, is this a good offer? What should I counter? What should I say? I can't tell you.
So
I can't advise you on that.
that's strange. So yeah, I mean, it's not strange, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of lose some of their representation, I feel like, if
They do.
you do. Yeah, I guess you're splitting it. You are. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, it's, I wasn't sure if you had any experience with that, and I wanted to share a little bit of my experience because
I had a. I can't think of the word. It starts with a C now. When you have two offers, you're writing. Two offers
contemporaneous.
Yeah, I've had one of those.
Really? See, I've never had to do that.
Yeah,
I've never had two people with an offer on the same house. So
I don't recommend it because you're going to piss one of them off.
you have to, right?
Yeah.
Like, so did one of them get it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, lost the other one, and which they had a house to sell, and yeah, so that sucked. But
So they had a
Live and
house to
learn.
sell. So did they not let you list it?
right,
Oh, they were mad.
yeah, mad. Yeah.
Well, okay. So they were mad because you didn't tell them what the other offer was?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, they wanted me to let them know how much to go over, or how much. Yeah, because the other both offers were over asking.
Sure.
And I'm like, you both have very strong offers. You just have to go with what your best one is. Like, you can't tell you what the other one is.
They didn't understand that would be wholly unethical for you to tell one of your clients how to beat a different one of your clients.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Ugh.
Could I have explained it better? I don't know. I mean, at that point, you're just like, I'm representing both of you. This is. They knew up front, and yeah.
Yikes, man! I'm sorry about that.
Right.
That's a rough part of this business. It is
Walking a fine line sometimes between.
Yeah, and it's those relationships, and so now these are people. So parted ways on bad terms.
At the time, I mean, we're cordial now. I'm not gonna
Good.
not say hi to him if I see him out or something
Okay.
like that. But yeah, it's not best friends or anything. But,
Well, because that's something that I've learned too. And I've mentioned this early in my career, when people didn't use me that I felt should have, I took it personally.
right. That's definitely something. Yeah, it's hard, and I think that just reminds us that we have to be better at putting ourselves in front of people.
Yeah.
And being first of mind when it comes to real estate for our friends and family and everything. And
Yeah.
especially.
Here's the other thing is those same people, like I do a thing where as many people as I can, their birthday pops up. I've got a bunch of them saved in my phone. I just text them. I don't post on their Facebook page. I just shoot them a personal text. Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Right. Hope you guys are doing well. Christmas time, New Year's, whatever. It's something I reach out to people. That little stuff like that.
Right.
And I've made it a point to these people that upset me or that I felt have totally, like, well, we can't be friends and I never want to see you again. Okay, that's immature. I've grown a little bit.
Right.
But I send those people a little, hey, happy birthday. Hey, whatever it is. And I've had people now, come and use me again, where I've lost them as a potential client before by not being a big baby about it and being a grown up
Right.
and still being a nice person and still just being myself and saying, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Hope things are going well. That they've come back. And because here's one thing I never really took into consideration was this person. That was a microphone, everybody. Yeah. Is this person or this family or whatever it is, for whatever reason, made the choice they made to use a different agent. And as much as I didn't like it at the time, they made that choice. And sometimes they regret that decision. Now, if I'm a jerk about it,
They're not going to call you. And
no, they're going to find
do the
a
next
different
one. Yeah.
person, right?
Right.
But if I'm still just hey,
Yeah. Oh, I've had multiple people say, "Oh, sorry, we didn't get you on that other one, but we want to use it this time,
Yeah.
or keep in mind next time, whatever." But yeah, making sure people know, because I run across. I've been licensed for 2 years, And I run across like family and friends who didn't even know that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, because it has been a while since we talked. Yeah, got to get out there. And
That's a big thing, man. If you have family and friends have to know.
all right.
I mean, that's the first thing that has to happen after you get licensed. Is
Well, I made all the Facebook posts, and how did I already see it?
But did you reach out personally to everybody, or just post on Facebook?
Yeah, mostly just Facebook.
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
you got to reach out personally.
Yeah, I learned, and trying to get out to people because not everybody's on Facebook, and not everybody sees your posts, and the way the algorithms are now, I don't even think anybody sees my posts sometimes. And
Exactly. That's so true. You know, I mean, even you can spend money. You can give Zuckerberg money and do, make it a sponsored post and it goes out, but it still doesn't hit everyone that you know personally.
Right.
So it's super important. And I mean, now I don't know that there's anybody I've been doing, that doesn't know that this is what I do.
Right.
But you're a couple years in. You probably still have people in your sphere who aren't sure that this is what you do.
There's a few, and that's why this year is dedicated to getting in front of the camera.
Yeah,
and
man.
being more involved with the public and
make those reach out and make those personal connections. Just a text.
Right.
It's that easy. Hey, just let you know I'm here doing this. If you ever need anything, I'd appreciate it. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was proud of myself. I was down in Carrollton for a closing a couple months ago and realized a guy that I used to play basketball with back in high school had an office on the square in Carrollton. And so I went around and knocked on his office door and said, hey, and just said hi. Haven't seen you in 20 years. How's it going? Let you know I'm a real estate agent.
How far away is Carrollton?
It's like 25 minutes south of Jacksonville.
Okay.
So like 50 miles.
It's a pretty good haul.
The house was in Jacksonville. Not really sure why we closed in Carrollton. That was their preference. Seller
weird.
picks the title company usually. So just go with what they want.
What's the furthest away from Springfield you've ever sold a house? Is that it?
Carlinville.
Carlinville.
So that's
Okay.
a trek down there. A couple in Decatur.
I've got 0 in Decatur under my belt.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because a lot of them aren't in our MLS.
Right.
Even though it's right there, but you have to work with the other agent pretty closely to get that information and everything.
I've shown a few.
couple
I've
good
just
ones over
never.
there.
Yeah. I've sold 2 houses in Chandlerville.
Chandlerville, nice. Okay.
I was like, I bet you there are agents who live in Chandlerville who can't even say that.
I don't think any agents live in Chandlerville.
There we go.
Amy Hageman is from Chandlerville, I think, but
I like Amy.
She might listen to this.
But I might be Chandlerville's premier real estate agent.
That's a good thing, I guess. I think that was Chandlerville. My sister lived in Chandlerville for a little bit.
Really?
Actually. Yeah.
It's a cool place, man. It's a long drive, but it's kind of a cool, I'd never been there before. Mm-hmm. It was
that's
just
right off the Jim Edgar Wildlife's right next to it, right?
Yep. I believe so. It's been a few years now since I've been out that way, but
really pretty out there, yeah.
Yeah. I got a listing out there. It was a co-list. A friend of mine who has since moved out of state, but worked for Whitetail, selling just land.
Yeah.
Who had a buddy who had like a 5-acre house, a house on 5 acres out there.
Gotcha.
And hired the land guy to sell it. And the land guy was like, I mean, I'll try it for a couple months, but I don't really do this.
Yeah.
And then we did a co-list. And so I listed it. And then from that, I did an open house in Chandlerville. And a girl came through, and a lady, but who I went to high school with randomly. I hadn't seen her since high school.
That is right. So right.
Right? To an open house in Chandlerville.
Yeah, you never know what.
Right. And so then I became her agent, and she ended up buying a different house in Chandlerville.
Nice.
Crazy.
Yeah.
This is business.
It's wild how stuff snowballs, and yeah.
I'm from Chatham, by the way. Grew up, graduated Chatham. So to have an open house in Chandlerville and have somebody you went to high school with pop through.
Right. What are the chances? It's got to be slim.
Yeah. Well,
but it happened.
Real estate, buddy. Crazy thing. So, how are you doing? I had mentioned a little bit ago this deal I'm working with the exclusive agency and non-exclusive, the buyer agency agreements. Mm-hmm. How are you doing with those? You work primarily with buyers, you said. So have you had any issues, any pushback getting people to sign those?
So another shout out to Creighton. He was pushing buyers agencies when I started in 2022. So I started using them. We got a little bit away from them. It's just matter of choice, like they weren't required, so it was not needed a lot of times, I guess. well, that was the law in Illinois. Verbal agency was a thing. So
Yeah.
you could just be in a verbal agreement. So that's what we were doing for the most part. So when the stuff happened, they got required, kind of just jumped back into it. Haven't had much pushback. No.
I mean, the difference now, though, is the obvious thing, the compensation part.
Right. I got to talk about that up front.
Has it caused confusion for you? Because I just went through this with the same person I was talking about with the dual agency with the non-exclusive. We had a long talk about how, hey, I don't like the way this is worded. You know, I was telling him because I don't. It says that the buyer agrees to pay, you know, the agent's brokerage X amount,
Right.
and it doesn't say, you know, unless you're able to acquire that from the listing agent, from the seller, which is a big caveat, right? It just says straightforward, you're going to pay my brokerage this, and that's it. There's no, but if you're able to get it from, then you don't owe this.
I guess my but is we're still going to ask the seller to pay. So one thing that we as a team, and we talked about coffee and questions, is having that CAR 112 available to the buyers up front to kind of show them, here, this is what we're going to submit with the offer. Historically, the seller has paid, but the buyer brings the money, the seller pays the commissions. You know, just explain it, honestly.
Yeah.
I just try and give them as much info, and then I kind of overload them on info because they're like, okay, whatever. And then they'll, not like misleading, but just giving them so much information. And yeah, just say we're going to ask, like, if the seller is not offering to pay any sort of commission, we'll have to have that conversation when it happens. But I don't work for free. Like, this is how I get paid. So
there you go.
And most people are good with that. And I exclusively use non-exclusive agreements, by the way. So
really,
yeah, I just go with the pitch that, you know, I want you to work with me. I want to earn the money that you're going to be bringing to the table. And if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. You know, I'm not a salesman, as people say. We are in the sales game, which we are, but
me neither.
I'm more selling myself. I'm not selling that house to the person. You know, they're going to decide to buy the house. I'm selling myself to get them to work with me. That's one of the reasons getting into this game was I've been selling myself for so long for other companies and being the face of that company and not really getting rewarded for it. So now I'm selling myself for myself.
Yeah, it's a.
You can put that on. That could be the title.
Selling myself for myself.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the first non-exclusive I've ever signed, and it was just this specific situation where the property was. I mean, you know, but I've only gotten exclusive agency agreements. But what I tell them is, the second you feel like,
right,
I'm not doing a good job for you, you let me know and we'll shut it down. No questions asked. Right? Like, but at the same time, you know, this establishes this relationship between us. I'm your agent. I'm working for you.
Right.
And, you know, if I'm showing you 20, 30 properties and I'm taking all this time and I'm working hard to find you something,
right.
You know,
I get that.
Right?
You don't want them to have that opportunity, but they always have that opportunity to go see someone else. And
they did.
We're so early into it that, people aren't really grasping that concept. So that's why we make sure in bold it says, do not sign another exclusive, or do not sign an exclusive agreement while under this agreement or whatever.
Yes.
So,
Well, this person still, even after all the talk about the compensation part, because it, like I said, I've from the very first time I saw it, I've protested it. The way this is worded it's misleading.
I agree. No, I agree.
And it makes our job even harder, because even though I explained it to this person thoroughly, showed him the 112 form. This is what we use. And once it came down to contract signing time, he called me.
Like the buyer's agency contract? Or the offer?
Yeah, well, the offer, everything got signed, you know. Once it was like, okay, I want to make an offer. Okay, here's this. Now you got to sign this to say I'm your agent, and then here's the contract, you know. And he called me, you know, and because we went over it thoroughly again.
Right.
And the way I do digital signings is we go over it first before you sign anything. I don't just send it over and say, hey, click where it tells you to click.
Right. Yeah,
I say it's in your inbox. Open it up. Don't hit anything yet. We're going to go through this so you know what you're signing.
Okay.
Right. So we do all that. He said, all right, I'll get it signed. All right, we hang up. He calls him back in a few minutes. This does say that I'm paying you, though. Like,
what was on the card 112 in there? If you're doing
all that. Yeah, but it doesn't say it. See, that's the thing. It doesn't say
unless seller
right.
Offers. I'll bring this up in forums. We'll have to take a look at it.
It's so confusing because how did they know? And this is a person who had known me for one day.
Right.
One calendar day. So for me to establish that level of trust where I have to say, hey, man, listen, I know that it says you're paying my brokerage this amount. And then there's this other page that says that the seller is going to pay me this amount. But it doesn't say anywhere that if the seller pays me this amount, you don't have to. You are signing a legal document committing to paying me.
So the card, it says that you're not able to make any more than that agreement says. So wherever.
But it doesn't say it on the buyer agency agreement.
Yeah, it should. It should. Buyer from all sources, buyer cannot make more.
Okay.
Or cannot take more than this. But that's the thing when I was doing it. So what if your buyer's agency arbitrary numbers? It says 30%, but then they're trying to pay 40%. So I think, awesome. Can we go back to switch it? And so now it does say on there that it's negotiable, can be changed anytime in writing. So I think they've allowed for that. But no, I definitely get what you're saying. People are not. Yeah. People are like, oh well, but then it's like, how do they expect us to get paid? Like, what? I'm providing a service for you, so.
I mean, it should say, I think, something like, in the instance that seller is, not providing this amount, then buyer agrees to pay this amount, right? Like, or make up the difference, or like something like that, where it's just clear. You shouldn't have to go searching for it, and it makes sense that, hey, you are agreeing to pay me if need be. This is my fee for doing this, and if we are unable to get this from the seller, then you are agreeing to pay me this amount.
Yeah, or the difference, right?
Or the difference, right? I mean, it would save a lot of confusion, especially like clients of mine that I've known for years and worked with. They'll just shut up, Eric. Tell me where to sign.
Right, sure.
Right, but people that I don't know, it's
want to shop around. Everyone wants a deal.
It's selling myself for myself.
Gotcha.
To yourself.
Right. And then, yeah.
So I got to do my best to make sure that you don't think I'm trying to sneak in an extra 3% or however many percent from you,
Right.
30, like you said, 30 to 40.
I think you just have to say, like, this form caps what I can make, basically, which why do we have to cap ourselves? Like, but
who knows? Yeah. But it's presented challenges on that front, but on the other hand, I love the idea of it. A lot of people are freaking out.
Sure, no, nothing to freak out about. I think it's just education,
communication.
Teaching buyers, and everybody's got to be on the same page too. So we did just get some company forms that came out. So hopefully everybody will be using those. And just going forward.
Do you call the listing agent as a buyer's agent and ask if they are offering whatever the commission is?
Sometimes. I was doing it like a lot, and then I wasn't. And I don't know. It just depends, I guess, on if it's someone I've never met before, on the client. Like, get a Zoe lead, about to go meet the client, want to know if they're paying anything.
Yeah.
So I can say, here's a buyer agency agreement. I just talked to the listing agent. The seller's agreed to pay this amount. So you would just be responsible for this amount, percentage or whatever. So that is handy, I think, because you're not going in blind. You're not saying, hey, buyer, I just met you. You owe me this much money out of your pocket.
Right.
It comes out of their pocket, but they just don't. It's just
not up front. It goes to somebody else's pocket and then to somebody else, but then
through a lot of different pockets.
Yeah. A lot of hands in those pockets.
So, are you calling listing agents?
No, not ever.
Are you getting your sellers to all commit?
Yeah. I don't feel right as a listing agent answering that question either. I don't like it.
I know, but if they've already signed so if they've already signed it, this time last year, it would just go in the MLS, so everybody would know.
Sure.
So I mean, why is that changed? Why is it so?
Well, I'll tell you, because right there on page 1 of the listing contract, it says in big bold letters now, which for one, we maintain it. It's always been negotiable, but now it says right there where they sign, just so you know,
not set by law. Right?
It's not set by law, and it is negotiable, right? So, but if I'm telling them
it's negotiable,
this is my fee for listing, and this is the compensation we're going to offer when agents call, then that is a direct contradiction to the paper that they're signing. Because let's say I have them on board, we'll just throw a crazy number out there, 6%, right? Just pull that out of the air. 6%. Let's say I have them on board. All right, 6%. But, if somebody comes in with a really low offer, that should be part of the negotiations. I know what I'm getting, but we can respond with, okay, we'll do that much, but we're only going to pay a 1.5% co-op.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
That's what's negotiable. Right?
That's what's negotiable. But if they call me on the front end and say, hey, are you paying 3? And I go, yeah. All of a sudden, that's not negotiable anymore.
You could say it depends. Bring me an offer.
That's how I like to handle that.
Or the seller has agreed, but to negotiate with buyer's agents. I think that's what I would say. I don't have a lot of listings, so I haven't met that, but I would say, yeah.
And as a buyer's agent, I know what my agreement says, so I just ask for that every time. I'm not going to call and be like, what are you offering? And they say this much. And I go, well, I want more.
Right.
Hey, this is what I want. I know. There. I could be potentially costing myself money. Sometimes sellers have agreed to pay an even higher co-op.
Yeah. I've learned that the hard way.
But it doesn't matter. That's the thing. We are supposed to get these forms filled out ahead of time, and I feel like there are agents out there who are leaving that part blank or filling out a new form, right? Maybe they in order to acquire a buyer say, hey, I'm only going to have you put 1.5% in here. I'll work for that much,
and then
which is fine. It's your prerogative, and it's totally fine. There's no set amount.
Right.
But then they call
until you get
and they say, what are you offering? And we say 3.5, and they go, oh, rip this up here, we're going to need you to sign this new one because now they're paying me more.
So as long as buyer's okay with that you can totally do that.
Well, you know what I say, make the offer.
Right.
Make the offer, ask for whatever you're asking for.
Right. And then negotiate at that time. So that's what I do. I
think it's the best interest of our sellers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. The more money in the seller pocket is obviously the best interest of the seller.
All right. So I always tell mine, be prepared to offer up to this amount, but an offer might come in where they ask for less. Mm-hmm. So I know what I'm getting. Here's what I'm getting out of this transaction. Exactly this much. And then your total commission could be up to here, but it could be down to here. As long as you're willing to be on board with all that, we're good to go. Sign here.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's more communication is not bad, and I think this has forced more communication, and in a way does help us, I think, maybe do a better job for our sellers and force us to talk more and explain things better to our buyers, which isn't bad.
It definitely does. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to help, and hopefully we're going to start seeing more multiple offers. And I don't know if that helps as a tool, for buyers to help them win. If they ask for less on that 112 and the seller's like, oh, I was going to offer this, I was going to pay this, but I only want this. And so, I'm going to use that as a tool. I used that as a tool, but then found out that they were already going to pay. So I lost a little bit there.
Yeah.
But so, we got on the house
you went in and we're going to take less as a helpful tool
because we're competing. Yeah.
Don't sell yourself short, buddy.
I know.
You deserve that.
I learned the hard way.
You deserve that commission.
Kicking myself. But
yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah. Just getting more confident. As the years go on, that's the main thing. Just the confidence to even come on this show and talk about stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't have that 6 months ago, I guess.
But it's so much of it is being confident in yourself. I remember, and I'm sure I've told the story, is, Mike Busher asked when I very first started, to the room of a bunch of brand new agents who had no idea what we were doing, like, who's the best agent in the office? And I don't know, Cindy, Jane, Kyle, I don't know. Ooh, they all seem really good, and anybody I left out, you guys are all great. But he's like, okay, well, I'll just call them.
You are, yeah.
Right. And so,
I know, yeah.
And
getting more trainings like that from the mics and stuff is great. And yeah, hopefully there's word someone else might be coming in to do some more trainings. That'd be awesome.
I've heard rumblings.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know that we can say anything more. I'll get a text from Mike Busher now.
Don't need to yet. But.
Yep. But so much of it is that. And so for me, I've always been comfortable talking to people. Like you said, you've never had a problem talking to strangers.
Not really.
I've always been good at that myself.
I might not initiate, but I can respond and hold a conversation, I guess.
Yeah.
So and a lot of time I just let that person talk, because when you meet a client, they're mostly going to tell you about themselves. So you got to be able to listen to them and respond as necessary. But yeah, listening. And
well, that's such a huge thing anyway, is finding out about you. I mean, that's the whole thing when you go and Pat Sellinger, did you ever get a chance to meet Pat?
A couple times.
Okay, a couple times. Yeah, he was still here while
Didn't
you
get any like training or much insight. But.
If you ever talk to Pat, and this is just the way that he is. Like if I talk to him on the phone, if I talk to him now, say, hey man, how's everything going? Good. Yeah. Hey, how's kids? Good. Wife good? Yeah. Everything going? He's just gets me talking about myself.
Right.
And it's just like, Pat, what'd you call me for, man? What are we doing? But that's just the way that he is. And I'm like, oh, that's so effective when you're going to meet clients, potential clients, is asking. They don't want you to come in and be like, all right, well, just so you know, I sold this many this year and I did, and look at my car and look at my watch and look at, they don't care about that.
Yeah.
They want somebody to care about their story and what they need. And it's like, so you go in and you ask, hey, what, you guys, you married? You got kids? You got, it's get them talking about themselves and telling their story and comfortable with you. And that's such a big part of this business is building those relationships. And that's the way to do it.
Right.
Nobody wants you to come in and tell you about how great you are at selling real estate. Yeah. Now, when you get to the actual real estate stuff and the transaction, and they start wanting to know, hey, how does this work? How does that work? And then that knowledge of what's in the contracts kicks in. Mm-hmm. See, and you seem to have a pretty good grasp on all of that, right? So
I'd like to think so. And but like I said, they're always changing. I'm always finding something. Oh, I didn't see that. And
yeah.
Right.
But still, that's okay, right? But that's where my confidence came in, was once I felt like I had a good grasp of what these contracts said.
Yeah.
And, the buyer's rights, the seller's rights, and all that stuff, and all that kicked in. Then I was like, no, okay, I can do this. Now, it might come off the wrong way, but I always go back to that question that Mike asked. So if somebody says, who's the best? I will say, I don't think there's anybody better. I'm not going to say I'm better than everybody else,
I like that,
but I don't think anybody's better than me.
Yeah.
At what I do and the way that I do it and the area that I know, I don't think there's anybody better. And I feel like you have to have that attitude. Not that you're better than everybody,
right?
But you can provide this as high a level of service as anybody else.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So there you go, buddy. And you did a good job talking. Nice work.
Yeah, most people who listen to this one are like, I didn't even know he talked.
Yeah. You're talking great. Yeah, absolutely. We've gone over an hour. It's been painless. I'm not like, oh, geez, I don't even know where do we go from here? We could do another hour.
I don't even know what we talked about.
I don't know what I talk about with anybody until I listen to it back. Yeah. Then I have to write a description and what the episode's about. And I'm like, oh, what did we talk about? I don't know. It was real estate. I'm pretty sure some real estate, some golf.
Forms. Let me see. I got a couple notes in here.
You have notes? You came prepared to this?
No, not prepared. All right, no, that's it. I covered everything on there.
Well, did you really? You made notes of things you wanted to.
I had one note.
What was it?
About how I didn't know people watch podcasts, and so I wasn't prepared because I only listened to podcasts.
Oh. Yeah, apparently it's a thing.
It was a big note, really. Had to hit on it.
Well, nobody could watch the one from last week. Sorry, Clay.
Bummer.
He's such a good-looking guy, too, man. And it just...
We'll have plenty of videos with the Yates featuring the Yates team coming up, so be on the lookout for those.
Oh, all right. A little promo for the Yates team. I'll send you guys an invoice.
Right.
Who handles the invoices?
Not me.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, man. Let's we're in an hour 5. Let's get out of here. I'm hungry. I haven't had lunch.
Same.
Yeah. Let me we'll hit the music.
Outro.
You got it. It's the same as the intro.
It's not really backwards.
That would be awesome. I can have my brother reverse it.
I wonder what it would sound like.
Yeah. I don't know. I like this song though. All right.
Good beat.
Connor Sweeney, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Eric.
And good luck to you this year.
Thanks.
And further years.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be doing it for lots of years.
Yeah. See you, buddy.